Sports Addict Live NHL Show. It's 2024. Thank you for joining us. This show is brought to you by First Round Collectibles. From now until January the 4th, which is 2 days away, First Round Collectibles has thousands of sports cards on sale for up to 50% off. And right now, with the promo code Sports Addict, you get an additional 10% off. If the card you want is 20, then you get it for 30. If it's 30%, you get it for 40, 50, 60 from now until January the 4th, up to 50% off plus 10% with the code Sports Addict on FirstRoundCollectibles.com. That's the number one, STRoundCollectibles.com. First Round Collectibles, sports cards for sports fans.
Yeah. Let's go. We just gotta go hard. I go the hardest. I bring the pain. Not what you used to. It's all part of the game. Yeah, I just gotta go hard. I just gotta go hard. Go hard. Yeah. Oh yeah, the beast back. Adrenaline pumping through my veins. Can't relax.
And welcome 2024. It's the NHL Show on Sports Addict live on YouTube and live on X. What's up, fellas? Happy New Year. How we feeling?
Fantastic. I'm ready for 2024. I think it's going to be a really good one. And I'm very glad to be back.
Yeah, me too. It's been quite an exhausting new year for me. I'm kind of just slowing down a little bit today, but looking to be refreshed and ready to go for these 2024 games and the second half of the year.
Yes. It's a terrible time, John, to want to slow down because we got 13 games to break down today. But tomorrow there will be 2 games. And so we thought that tomorrow we will do a 2024 rest of the NHL season preview. So make sure to join us. We'll talk some awards. We'll talk who makes it to the playoffs. We'll talk who knows. It's completely limitless what we'll talk about tomorrow as we look ahead to the rest of the 2024 season in the NHL. All right. So we got 13 games. There's no more time for chit chat. Let's just get right into it. Oh, before I do, I will say just a little different hockey chit chat. So the Women's Hockey League started yesterday. New York versus Toronto. New York won. However, it's an amazing thing. I believe there's 6 teams. If you're in the market, please go support this league. Lots of really cool stuff happening. I know here, like, you can't get tickets here. It's like sold out right through the season. Super cool to see. Also for the World Juniors, your American boys made it through to the semis. Canada, heartbreaker, man. For Canada with the World Juniors, you have to win a medal. It's basically it. That's the expectation. And tied 2-2 to the Czech, and 11 seconds left, and they shoot it from the blue line, hits off a Canadian defender off the post and in. Just a horrible break, heartbreaker, but congratulations. The Americans were the favorites at the beginning of the tournament, and congratulations on making it through to the semis. All right, moving on. We'll start in Columbus. I feel like these 2 teams play like every week, just like the Jackets play the Leafs every week. It's just the Leafs, Boston, and Buffalo. I feel like that's the only 3 teams that the Blue Jackets play. Blue Jackets, home plus 190 dogs at home, which is wild. Minus 230 for the Boston Bruins. The Bruins minus 1.5 on the puck lines, plus 110. The Blue Jackets plus 1.5 on the puck line is minus 130. 130. The over is 6.5 at -105, and the under is -115. John, start us off in 2024, man. What are your thoughts on Boston in Columbus?
Right before I think Christmas break it was last time. Last time Boston was this big of a favorite on the road, I was scared to take them in a similar situation. Uh, main When it comes to Columbus, they're the type of team I never know what to expect from them from night to night. They're supposed to be one of the worst teams in the league, but once in a while they put up an absolute number. So that kind of makes me hesitant to bet against them in these spots where they're heavy underdogs. But with that said, I think to start the new year, Boston, let's just say Boston should want to make a statement here. I think we could all agree they're a much better team than Columbus. They have them beat in nearly every statistical category. So I think I'm going to go with the safe play here and recommend a Boston puck line with the time off heading into the new year. I just feel like Boston's going to come out swinging tonight.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. The only thing that has me curious, and this is actually taken right from your book, John, is Boston's -230 favorites, yet the puck line's still plus money, where many times when you see this, the puck line kind of dips down. So I think that the books are also like, but Columbus might just score 5 out of nowhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I 100% agree with you, especially with the power play for Boston. Pasternak and Marchand on the power play points, I would keep an eye out for. I also think since late November, Columbus is 5-10 in their last 15. Boston, after being 2-6 through 8 games, they're now on a 3-game winning streak, and I just think Boston's rolling. It's a bad time for Columbus, and I see the puck line here as the play as well. I don't love either over or the under. I'm not really sure what to expect based on history for these two teams. I don't know about playing together, but overall, I would slightly lean the over, but the under wouldn't surprise me either. What about you, Andre? How do you feel?
I think it's a clean sweep here on the puck line. Boston top 5 in goals against, top 5 in power play, top 5 in PK. Offense is solid. Columbus, it's a bad team. Probably the only flat out bad team in the Metro. So New Year, I know Boston lost their first trip to Columbus 5-2. I don't see it happening twice. I think the Bruins really dominate here. The total is also tricky for me. I really wouldn't want to touch it, but if I had to, I think I would lean under, honestly. I think I would go opposed to you, Mark. I just really trust Boston's goaltending and defense to keep Columbus in check more than anything else.
That makes sense, 100%. Okay, moving to the Garden. Now, I have to vent just really quickly. I'm listening to the radio before coming on here today, and the radio host, I really like the guy normally. Great job. He's teeing up talking to a beat writer for the Rangers. The whole show, he's like teeing it up every 10, 15 minutes, teeing it up. And he keeps on saying the Hurricanes are down at the Garden. He keeps saying Garden, like literally 20 times, just kept like God. Like the first time he did it, I was like, okay, yeah, the God, I get it. Had New York accent, blah, blah, blah. But literally for like an hour and a half, he's teeing up this interview. He must have said Garden like 20 times. It drove me insane. I just need to, it's been like bubbling under my skin. I don't know. I get it, but it's a bit overkill. But anyway, Carolina is in New York at the Garden, -130 Favorites are the Rangers, plus 110. Underdogs are the Hurricanes. The over is 6 at minus 105. The under is minus 115. Carolina on the puck line plus 1.5 is minus 238, while 1.5 for the Rangers on the minus side is plus 195. All right, Andre, talk to me about your boys. What do you see here?
Well, I think the first thing that pops out of me is whoever you think is going to win this game. You should take the 60-minute line. I can't remember for the life of me the last time these teams went to overtime. And that includes the playoff series, the 7-game series. None of those games went to OT, even though most of them were tight. It usually ends up being regulation winner. It usually ends up being a multi-goal win, even when the games are close. So 60-minute line, whichever side you back, I recommend. That being said, I like the under the most in this play. I know it's been funky all day. At one point, it was 5.5 at even money. I think when we started the show, it was over 6 was plus 100, under 6 was minus 120. Now it's under 6 is minus 115. So it's evening up again. The last three times these teams played, it was 2-1 Rangers win, 2-1 Rangers win, 3-2 Canes win. On paper, Carolina's supposed to be a really tough defensive team, really good goaltending team. I know that hasn't been the case for the season, but quietly their PK is now up to 10th this season. That can counter the Rangers power play, which is best in the league. Their goals against average is up to 15th. The Rangers obviously have Shesterkin, one of the best goalies in the world, if not the best. Strong defense, even with, I think Trouba's banged up. He's playing though. So I like the under the most in this game. On home ice, I'm taking the Rangers. Carolina's a much stronger team at home.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's a night and day difference. So I'm going to take my boys. I don't even want to say now. I'm going to take my boys in the Garden to win it all, to win tonight. But I like the under more than anything in this one. I see this being like a 3-1, 3-2 type game.
I don't know why it bothered me so much. Like, the first time it was fine, but after like a dozen times, I was like, dude, we get it. Like, I've been listening to your whole show. You've said Godin, like, so I just couldn't handle it. Super interesting. I don't know why it bothered me. Maybe it's a me issue I have to work through. I don't know. But super interesting about the under, because what I noticed, so Carolina 3-game winning streak, 3 goals or more in all 3 games, and the Rangers 10-5 since late November, 3 goals or more in 9 of those 10 games, which kind of made me think maybe over, but we could be looking at a 3-2, 3-1 win, like you said. As far as a side goes, I would go with the Rangers as well. Although, not like I do go with the Rangers. I like the 60-minute line. That being said, Carolina is starting to come around and starting to make me believe a little bit. They were in Toronto on Saturday, and they looked really good. They just looked tight, professional, no big mistakes. They just looked like a good hockey team, which, like, we've been seeing from Carolina, like, this super fast paced, and it can bite them. And Saturday night, it was just a really good, tough, clean hockey game. The only prop that I'll give out, and I won't go super deep with the props since we have like 1,000 games, but Aho has 12 points in the last 5 games. So, and 3 goals, 9 assists. Pretty slow start for him to the season. So I would take him either a point, assist, 2 points even, goal. I can see it all from him. Even if Carolina loses, 3-2, I can see him getting 2 points in this game. John, what about you, man? What do you see here?
I think both of you guys touched on some good points that influence my pick here. Mark, on your side, I have noticed Carolina is making moves in the standings. They're now in second place because of this winning streak in the Metropolitan.
Yeah.
And a point Andre brought up earlier about the home being a night and day difference for Carolina. I think that is heavily influencing my pick as well, because I think if this was in Carolina, I would be picking the Hurricanes in this matchup. But because it's in the Garden and it's been a few days since Carolina played, I personally believe their winning streak is going to come to an end tonight, and I will pick the Rangers in a close one. I don't say that 100% confidently, but I do tend to trust the Rangers goaltending a bit more than Carolina here. I think the penalty kill will be put to the test. I've been very impressed with the Rangers power play of late. I noticed they topped the Devils in power play percentage a week or so ago. So the Rangers have been making good strides there. I Going into this, I was dead set on taking the over, but I think Andres talked me into just at least staying away from this. I find
me too, man. I think
the line is a bit odd here. Like, you would think it would be higher than 5.5/6. Now that I'm aware that it opened at 5.5, I think that scared me off of it a bit. So I'm personally going to stay away. Andre's recommendation on the under might be the one here to go with if you're picking a side there. But I think he's also talking me into the 60-minute play here. I'm thinking Rangers there.
Look at Andre just completely manipulating our betting cards. I love it. Oh, speaking of which, Andre, I do have one more thing to say, and I picked this up just for you, and I completely forgot to mention it. Keandre Miller. All right, we were texting about this. This guy is a good player and really underrated. Like, I don't know if like most fans know who this guy is, and he's like a really good defenseman. 2 goals in his last 5 games, 7 total on the season, I believe, plus 900 for an anytime goal. I don't hate it, man. When I saw plus 900, that actually shocked me. Like, he shoots from the point quite a bit. He gets like 2 shots plus a game. It's not like the guy, doesn't shoot the puck. But anyway, I just wanted to kind of throw that out there, man. I know he's your boy, and I don't know, plus 900. I'll take a sniff. Why not?
Oh, I've bet his goal score plenty of times. Don't you worry. He's on a power play too, also, so he gets looks. Like, he's gonna get shots. But just real quick to back up your point, Sebastian Aho and Artemi Panarin, both in this game, 2 of the hottest players on the planet right now. I think they were the first and second stars of the week, closing out 2023. So can't go wrong with them.
No, you're 100% right, and I would say, like, we'll go through it, but maybe the game of the night, at least for the 7:00 hour, at least. I really like this game, like you said. 2 really good teams. Carolina's starting to come on. It'll be really great to see. Moving on to Pittsburgh, where this game used to be one of those games where it's like 2 Stanley Cup contenders, and now who knows what these teams are. I was a bit surprised with the favorite here, like being this heavy, but Washington is in Pittsburgh, minus 180. Plus 150 underdogs is Washington. Penguins on the puck line, minus 1.5 is plus 142. Capitals plus 1.5 is minus 170. The over is 6 at minus 102. And the under is minus 118. We've been waiting for this, boys. We've been waiting for Washington to fall off the face of the earth. We've been waiting. Hasn't been happening. 4-game losing streak. 5-9 in the month of December. And I think we're going to see this with a lot of teams like the Capitals, like the Islanders, like the Flyers, teams that we've been questioning, is this a playoff team? One way or the other, I think right now is when we find out. And I think Washington are beginning to show that they're fraudulent. And I think Pittsburgh is on the opposite trajectory right now. 3-game winning streak for them. They have outscored their opponent 14-3 in those 3 games. I know they've played the Islanders and beat them 7-0, but still they scored those goals, right? 7-2 in their last 9 games since December the 10th. I think, I don't know, personally, -1.5 for Pittsburgh. I think Washington's time's come to an end. I think it's at home for Pittsburgh. And I love this team to win by 2 or more goals. I also will say Gensel, 2 goals in his last 5 games. I always like him to score, and also Crosby. You've heard this speech. Crosby to score, Crosby to shoot pucks, all that stuff. The last 2 times that I have bet shot totals for Sidney Crosby, he has 1 shot with 10 minutes left in the 3rd period. And then I check the stats after, and he always hits 4 shots. He just always figures it out and shoot. It's always nerve-wracking. It's always going to make you sweat. It's never fun, but he gets the job done eventually. John, what do you see in this game, man?
I'm a little torn here. But to go back to your old point about this used to being a highlight game, I remember when NBC had the hockey coverage in America, they used to absolutely salivate whenever these 2 teams met up. Like that was their dream matchup for ratings, with Ovechkin and Crosby in their prime. There's been some good playoff matchups back in the old days, but I think post-COVID, this matchup really lost its luster a little bit. But focusing on tonight, I think we all felt like Washington was going to fall off at some point, when, not if. I guess the wheels are in motion there. I think this line feels like it's a fade Washington line more than a pro Pittsburgh line, considering their losing streak and how people feel about Washington overall. I think it's an overreaction a little bit, because I do agree Washington's not good, but I think I'm not sold on Pittsburgh either. That's really the problem. That's really the problem I'm having with this. I don't say this confidently at all, but I don't trust Pittsburgh enough to take a puck line, despite that 7-0 massacre the day after Christmas, or 2 days after Christmas, against the Islanders. I feel like the values with Washington here, like at plus 150 with a team like Pittsburgh on the other end, I don't think that's a terrible deal. I realize Washington does not have great stats, but I do think, I've said it before, their strength this year is goaltending. So I think if they can get a solid goaltending performance, which I do believe they're capable of with Pittsburgh on the other side, don't be surprised if they win this game.
You couldn't even wait till the 2nd week of the new year to pick a fight with me, eh?
The third game. Third game.
Yo, Andre, why is he wrong?
Washington's not going to score on Tristan Jarry. Are you kidding me? That offense in 2024, they got shut out when they played Pittsburgh opening night. And if they score 2 goals in this game, I'll consider it a miracle. Washington's in a free fall. It's expected. During this stretch, their 4-game losing streak, they've scored 5 total goals, and it's not surprising. They refuse to start Charlie Lindgren, even though he's been one of the better goalies in all of hockey this season, let alone on that roster. Yeah. I will keep picking this fight every time they play.
Yeah.
But yeah, Pittsburgh, they have 2 massive outlier games with the Islanders and the Sharks a few months ago. But they have the second best goal differential in the Eastern Conference. They have the goal differential you'd think a team with Washington's record would be closer to. When you're with the Panthers and the Flyers, you're only behind the Bruins and the Rangers. You're doing something right. I think the wins are starting to come now. Not the Islanders, the Capitals, that minus 18 goal differential, hanging with the Canadian Sabres and Blue Jackets is not where you want to be. I think Pittsburgh slaughters them on home ice. I don't see this one being close. I'm taking the Pittsburgh puck line. I wouldn't be afraid of minus 2.5, honestly. I think the Penguins are going to slaughter the Capitals.
What are the odds on it? Do you have them there?
I can have them in a sec.
While he's looking, John, just to let you know, I do agree with you with not trusting Pittsburgh 100%. We don't know if this team's going to make it to the playoffs. As of right now, I just trust them more than Washington. It's that simple for me. But I do understand what you're saying 100%.
What we might all agree on in this game, are you guys feeling under in this?
Yeah,
I think we have different reasons for that, but I'm also feeling the under.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Penguins minus 2.5 is plus 235.
That would be great value if it hits.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4-1.
I can see that being
right where I'm
tempting.
looking at this game.
I might put a little sprinkle on that.
Oh God.
I just think for Washington, we've all just been waiting for the downfall, and I've always felt that once that door opens just a little bit, I feel like the floodgates are just gonna poof. But we'll see what happens. Moving down to Texas, Montreal is in Dallas. Minus 298 favorites is Dallas, which I know that Montreal's not the best team in the league by a long way. Minus 298 seems kind of a bit much to me. Plus 240 underdogs is Montreal. The over is 6.5 at minus 108. The under is minus 112. Plus 1.5 for Montreal is minus 105. And minus 1.5 for Dallas is minus 115. Andre, what are you seeing in this game?
Before we start on this game, did anyone see Montreal's goal in Tampa the other day? Was it Sunday?
I did not.
I don't remember it.
Bizarre. Tampa shot it into the goalie. Montreal's goalie was holding it. Everyone assumed the puck was frozen, but the ref never played a whistle because there was no Lightning players near him. Yeah, and he just passed it out, full ice goal. Who was it? Vazzy and net skated towards the bench. There was just nobody for Tampa on the ice or in a playing position on the ice. So really weird play.
So do you know, just real quick,
said,
sorry to cut you off. You know what's really funny about that? So I follow Roto Grinders have NHL goals account for Twitter. So every time someone scores, I always get like notification or whatever, right? And I naturally bet on that game, and I get a notification because that I believe made it 3-3, right? I believe Josh Anderson scored it. That's what they gave it to him, I think. But either way, it said empty netter, and it was like the beginning of the third period. I was like, wait, what? That must have been like like something went wrong or whatever. I'm like, an empty netter at the beginning of the third period. And then I like saw the highlights after. I was like, oh, that was a mistake.
Yeah. Crazy, but I don't think I've ever seen that one before. So
no. Anyway, sorry to cut you off.
Talking about. No, you're fine. Because there's not much I really have to say about this game. I know I've ragged on Dallas a bit without Ottinger, but the offense is Granted, it was Chicago twice. The offense is kind of doing its thing right now. Good for 3+ goals almost every night, barring the Vegas and Blues games. So I see Stars staying hot offensively. Montreal, not the greatest team, especially offensively. Weak PK. I think the Stars, shorthanded, win this one by multiple goals. I'm leaning towards the over. So yeah, puck line, Stars puck line, over 6.5. That's where I'm at.
What about you, John? What do you see here?
I think I'm also on the Stars puck line here. I feel like the money line is very telling, and the fact that the puck line is minus money for Dallas seems to be strong Dallas sentiments in this game. I got burned doing this last week with Dallas, so I feel like I'm due to get one right here with when it comes to them being a heavy favorite in a game. But no, I do like the offensive advantage Dallas has against Montreal. They, in my opinion, at least they match up with Montreal very well here. Andre touched on the weak penalty kill, and Dallas has a pretty decent power play with over 22%. I feel like they can take advantage of that weakness there. And honestly, goals per game is a huge advantage for Dallas, too. They're second in the NHL with 3.6 per game. Montreal's in the bottom 6 in the league, 2.75. So I think combine that with a weak penalty kill, I don't believe asking Dallas to win by 2 is unreasonable here.
Yeah, so my original thought for this game was actually Montreal plus 1.5. And the reason why is when I watched this team, when the Toronto Maple Leafs, the year that they drafted Matthews first overall, that year, they were clearly bad because they got the number 1 draft pick. But it was the most dignified tank that I've ever seen. Like they were losing these games like 2-1, 3-2, 4-3, 3-1, like super close. And that's what I'm seeing from Montreal. Like their record's not great. I had it written down here. 5 wins since late November. Like they're not winning games right now, but they don't look like they're getting their doors blown off either. Like they're playing pretty competitively. The one thing that made me kind of be like, Dallas puck line might be the better move is more so watching Montreal's games. That empty netter or netter burns them a lot. I actually think that this game will be pretty close, but they're losing by 1 in the third period so often that they get burned by that like empty netter like all the time. And so I actually do believe this game will be closer than you guys do, but I'm with you with the minus 1.5 because I picked Montreal plus 1.5 and I get burned on that last second friggin' it's burned me so many times. I'm just scared. If I'll be honest with you, I'm scared and I'm taking Dallas minus 1.5, but I actually do think it will be a close game. And if the over is 6.5, I actually do like the over. I'm thinking like 5-3, like 4-3, 5-3, maybe 6-3. I think that makes sense to me. Andre, you were breathing at me. Do you disagree? I felt
No,
like
I just had a flashback to that Canes game a couple weeks ago.
that's what I'm talking about.
I know. I know.
100%, dude. It happens every week with that team. If you
that
watch
was a horrible burn too.
Oh, dude, like they are a competitive team. And I feel like if you're going to tank and get a top 5 draft pick again, this is the best way to do it. You're not getting blown out. You're just hanging around and breaking our degenerate hearts in the process. Calgary. I won't call them Andre's team, but we all know the truth. Calgary is in Minnesota. Minnesota is minus 108. Calgary is minus 112, which really surprises me. Really surprises me. Over is 6 at minus 110. The under is also minus 110. Calgary plus 1.5 is minus 265. Minus 1.5 for Minnesota is plus 215. Andre, what do you see here?
I don't know. You brought up, real quick, this is kind of off topic. You brought up Calgary, and I feel like when I used to play, was it NHL 95 or 94? I don't remember. My season, my franchise with the Rangers. I feel like I used to always play Calgary in the Stanley Cup. Like, I feel like it happened a lot. Just completely off topic.
That's
but did you call my team? I was like, why is there an ingrained disdain for this club, this franchise? And there you go. I think I figured it out.
Yeah, this is rooted deep.
But yeah, I bet against them a lot. I think I'm going to do it again here, and at the risk of getting burnt for the umpteenth time. But I really I know Minnesota just lost 2 in a row to the Jets, but the Jets are quietly playing phenomenal hockey. You take away those games, they had won 7 of 8, the lone loss coming by 1 goal in Pittsburgh. Just Minnesota's playing really well. They're home for this one. Calgary's having a weird, mediocre season. Calgary is only 6-9-4 on the road, minus 11 goal differential. They're not traveling well. I really like the Wild in this spot, especially a minus 108. I know they have some injuries with Kaprizov and somebody else got hurt for them. So I know they're banged up. I still think they pull this one out. And I think the fact that Kaprizov, was it Gustafsson and Zuccarello are both out indefinitely too?
I think so.
Yeah, I think the fact that all 3 of them are out and this is still damn near even money says a lot. So give me Minnesota.
Yeah, and I mean, like I watched both those games. I mean, we've talked about it. I love watching that Jets team, man. They're so fun to watch. And I watched both those games, and the Jets didn't blow them out by any means. Those were really close, hard fought games. Really hard fought, to the point where I believe it was Sunday's game. The opening puck drop, there was this big fight, as soon as the game started. Really good hockey games. I'm with you. Flames 4-2 in the last 6. They have scored more than 3 in all of those 4 wins. However, that's a very small sample size compared to the whole season. I still think that this Flames team can't be trusted. I think right now they're actually playing pretty good hockey. They actually finished 2023 on a very high note compared to the rate that the rest of the season has gone. But I'm with you. Minnesota's been playing really, really good hockey, and they just ran into a really good Jets team 2 days in a row. Literally 2 days in a row. I really like this Minnesota team. I like the money line. I want to take the 60-minute line, but this Calgary team in overtimes, I feel like this has screwed us before. And I don't really feel like letting that happen again. I'll just stick with the money line. Minus 108 is good value. There's no need to get greedy. So I'll take that. On the Calgary side, though, Coleman, 4 goals in his last 5 games. I feel like you have a horror story with Coleman too, don't you? I feel like you do.
Every time I think he's gonna, make me some money, he has a 0 shot night.
Oh yeah, but he got.
This sounds vaguely familiar. Coleman screwing Andre.
Goal, but 0 shots, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't it that? Yeah, it's so funny. But he has 4 goals in his last 5 games, plus 200 for him to score. If you feel like getting burned, just and then, I mean, Eriksson, I mean, 15 goals, 134 shots. Just put it on both. I like this guy seems to get things done every night on the prop side of things. But yeah, I'm taking money line Minnesota. John, what about you, man?
A surprising clean sweep of the Wild here.
Yeah.
Despite this being like an even money betting line here, I'm a little surprised we all agree on this one. I also like Minnesota in this game. I think they're due to get off this mini losing skid they have. I don't think they've been playing bad hockey either of late. And I feel like I trust Minnesota overall a little bit more. I've seen them play decent hockey against a few of the better teams in this league. I do think they're capable of having a good night, especially being at home here. I do think that's a nice little advantage for them. Minnesota's weakness tends to be the penalty kill, and I like the fact that they're playing Calgary here, where that weakness doesn't have nearly as big of a concern of being exploited, considering Calgary's power play performance this year. I think Minnesota's a little better of a scoring team than Calgary. And overall, I think I give the edge here tonight to the Wild.
Well, and don't forget to 11-3 in the month of December before these last two games against the Jets. So they've lost 5 games this last month, and 2 of them were literally at the end of the year.
Yeah, we're all pretty high on the Jets too. So I think
100%.
I don't think we could look down on the Wild too much for that.
So, John, are you higher on the Jets or on the Chicago Blackhawks?
Oh boy.
In Nashville, minus 298 is Nashville, home favorites. Plus 240 for Chicago on the road. Plus 1.5 for Chicago is minus 108. Minus 1.5 on the puck line for the Predators is minus 112. Over 6.5 is plus 100. Over 6.5, plus 100 over 6.5, and the under is minus 120. John, we'll go with you, man. What do you see in this game besides Bedard scoring and the Blackhawks losing?
Chicago's first goal.
Yeah. What do you see here?
Andre's really got me on the Chicago first goal thing lately. I swear. It's like the first thing I think of when the Blackhawks are playing at all. I don't know. The Blackhawks like annoy me lately because every time I want to fade them, they make me pay for it. Like whenever they're this big of an underdog, they don't even have to win the game to ruin my bets. I remember last week this happened against Dallas, and like a week before that, they were huge dogs at home and won outright. So I'm beginning not to trust betting against the Blackhawks in big spots like this. Well, big separation spots like this. With that said, I don't trust them to win outright. I think this is my first stay away game of the day. The Blackhawks have just played spoiler too many times of late in these big gap separation type of bets. I do like Nashville, but I don't know. The Blackhawks are a little more pesky than I give them credit for, and they're becoming a bit unpredictable for me to really back fading them. I don't know what I'm trying to say there. To bet against them, it's becoming a difficult spot for them. In terms of the total, I don't really have a strong lean on this side either. I mean, the Blackhawks are weak in both categories, like scoring and stopping pucks. So, yeah, I gotta say, I think this is the first stay away game for me tonight.
What about you, Andre?
Yeah, if John's making it his stay away, that means I can't. So that's really tough.
Sorry.
No, you're
Blackhawks just burn me too
just
much.
messing with you. I completely get that. They went from beating the Jets and losing an OT to the Stars to losing 8-1 to the Stars on New Year's Eve.
Right.
So you don't know what you're gonna get. You really don't. You know, there's some talent there with Bedard and Kurashev and Tyler Johnson, one of the triplets. Long live them. But it's generally not a good team. And I know they have their moments. I know they don't exactly roll over, but I think I would trust Predators -1.5 more than anything in this game. Got back in the win column against the Capitals on Saturday. They had 3 losses before that, but Canes are playing well. Stars are a good team. Red Wings, that was an OT loss. It happens. That was a team due for a win, and with the tough offense. I don't think Nashville's playing terribly. I just think more of the schedule got to them. So I think they win another one tonight. I think they win by multiple goals. The Blackhawks generally are not a good team. Don't pay me the total though.
No, I like props more than I like a side in this game personally, just because like the money lines -1 or the 60-minute money lines -190 for Nashville, and clearly the -298 I'm not going to touch, and the -1.5 I do like that play. I think that is the right play. Something about it makes me a little bit nervous. Bedard, 3 goals in his last 5 games, 15 goals total, 11 on the road. So I feel like he's going to get one tonight, +180 for him to score. Nyquist, 4 goals in his last 5 games, +250 for him. Forsberg, O'Reilly, Yossi, all have 14 or more power play points, and the penalty kill for Chicago is god awful. So I like all those props. Also, Chicago has allowed 5 or more goals in 4 of the last 5 games, and all 4 of those games were losses. So Nashville over 4.5 goals +145. It's a bit of a long shot, but this Nashville team can score when they want to. Nashville 2-4 in their last 6. They've allowed 22 goals in the last 6 games. That's the only thing that makes me a little bit nervous, even though it is Chicago. And they should blow past the puck line with no problem. That 22 goals in 6 games does make me a little bit nervous. But I'll take over 4.5 for Nashville and the props that I mentioned as well. All right, moving on to what is maybe one of the games of the night for me. If the Rangers Carolina is the 7:00 game of the night, then I feel like this has to be the 8:00 game for the night. Tampa Bay is in Winnipeg. Winnipeg is -135 favorites. Tampa Bay is +114, -1.5 on the puck line for Winnipeg is +170. Tampa is -205 for +1.5 on the puck line. The over is 6 at -112, and the under is -108. Andre, how you feel about this game?
I know Jets are a really good team. We've been gassing them up a lot lately. I have a feeling we're going to talk about Manitoba's moneymaker a lot tomorrow. But I think they're going to lose this one. And for one specific reason, their penalty kill, I mean, their special teams in general are not good. The penalty kill is 26th. Only successful 75% of the time. And the Tampa Bay Lightning, not having the season they want or expected, but if there's one thing they still do very well, it is score power play goals. I don't see if Winnipeg commits like 3-4 penalties, they give the Lightning 3 power play opportunities, 4, they're going to get burnt. It's going to hurt them. And I think it's going to make a difference in this game. Andre Vasilevsky doesn't have the craziest numbers. Part of that's the defensive front of him, but he's still a very good goaltender. Still very much capable of, I think he's the reason Tampa's staying alive at this point. More than anything, I think when he came back, they got a little surge, and he's helping them compete. I like Tampa +114 here. I like them in a high-scoring game, so give me the over 6. And Winnipeg hasn't allowed more than 3 goals in 25 straight, I believe the streak is now, and I think that ends tonight.
Yeah, I tend to side with you barely. I do think Winnipeg can win this game. I I I'm personally probably not going to bet it, even because I do think Tampa Bay can win this game. And you're 100% right about the penalty kill. Winnipeg plays a much tighter game, and Tampa Bay is just like super fast and loose, right? And I just feel like that's not going to be in their favor. What scares me, which is like now that I'm like thinking it's actually kind of weird, but it actually scares me about the Jets. They were 10-2 in December. They came off a phenomenal month. Like they were the best team statistically in the league this past month. They were just phenomenal. And I feel like, New Year's weekend, beating Minnesota back to back, I feel like they're feeling good. They're feeling high. And we've seen what happens when teams get a little bit cocky, right? And I kind of feel like this is a really good spot for Tampa Bay. The other thing is, currently the Jets are on a 2-game winning streak. So before that, they lost. 2-game winning streak, lost, and then 2-game winning streak. So it seems to be the trend with Winnipeg. They go on these 2-game winning streaks and then lose. That's been the trend this whole past month. And I feel like that kind of continues tonight. However, Winnipeg is the better team, and I don't feel comfortable betting against them, which will probably make me stay away. But I can't argue with your logic at all. John, what about you, man?
I'm with Andre here, I do think Winnipeg is the better overall team. I just do not like them in this particular spot tonight. Andre touched on the power play for Tampa Bay, but I'll add to that. I think special teams overall, Tampa Bay has a nice advantage because Winnipeg's power play is not great. They're about 18% for the year, and Tampa Bay's been a little bit better on the penalty kill, sitting around at 79%. So I think Tampa Bay just has an overall special teams advantage there. And despite Winnipeg being able to score, I do believe Tampa Bay can keep up overall. Kucherov's having a great year for Tampa Bay, arguably one of the best players in the league right now.
100%.
In terms of scheduling, there's two factors here that are coming into play for me tonight. The first being that Winnipeg just played Minnesota 2 straight times. I do think that's a huge factor for why I'm going with Tampa Bay. Because, Mark, I think you touched on this before. Winnipeg's kind of feeling themselves, kind of getting used to one particular opponent. And now they're completely changing that dynamic, going up against what I think is a better team in Tampa Bay. So I think it could throw Winnipeg off here. But the second thing about the schedule, and I'm adding a second pick to this game. I like the under here. I thought the total was a little off, being 6 total, when considering how good these two teams are at scoring. But I realize both of these teams are playing their third straight game in 4 nights, so I do think that will be an issue when it comes to total goals here. So I think overall, I like Tampa Bay in a surprisingly low-scoring game.
Moving on to our collective favorite team right now. At least me and Andre. I don't know, John. You tell me if you're going to jump on board or not. Florida is in Arizona, the University of Arizona Coyotes. Arizona's plus 150 on the money line. Panthers are minus 180. The puck line for the Panthers minus 1.5 is plus 142. Plus 1.5 for Arizona is minus 170. The over is 6 at minus 105. The under is minus 115. So first of all, I like the under in this game. Big time. The Coyotes rarely get blown out if they lose. And the Panthers, 13 games in December, only 4 went over 6.5. So if the over is 6, then it's either going to push or stay under. And I think that continues. The Coyotes 6-1 in their last 7 games. Mind you, they beat the Ducks. They beat the Sharks twice. They beat Ottawa. They beat Buffalo. But they did beat Colorado in that crazy, come from behind victory. 8-5 in December. I actually really like this spot for the Coyotes. I have no doubt. I see that cheap smile on your face, John. I'm telling you, man. I know that the Panthers are a much better team. I know that. I just think this spot, I just think the Coyotes have been playing better hockey recently. And I mean, 6-1 last 7 games. They're in, I think this was you, Andre, touching on it before. At home, this team is a whole different team. And I like them to win tonight. And I like the under. I think it's a really good spot. John, why am I wrong there, homeboy? Wipe that smile off your face. Tell me why I'm wrong.
The smile is mainly because I knew I was going to have to do something today when we got to the Yotes that I told you I would do. That I would do if Friday night panned out a certain way. So on Friday, I said I wanted Arizona to prove it to me that they were here to stick around, because they had a big win against Colorado 2 days before, coming back down from 4-1. Then they played at Anaheim Friday night. I remember telling these guys, I want to see how Arizona recovers from that game. I want to see if they can keep their heads focused and not overlook, quite frankly, an inferior opponent and win a game that you're supposed to win. Not only did Arizona win that game, they shut them out. So in our little group chat that night or the next day, I told Mark and Andre, I owe Arizona an apology. They lived up to their expectations and more on Friday night. So I'll tip my cap in saying they're playing good hockey right now. And for that reason, I'm going to pick them tonight as well. I hope I don't curse them here.
That was very big of you, John. I thought for sure I'd be. I know you guys like the Coyotes. You, Andre. I wasn't sure if I'd have anybody with me, but that was very big of you, John. Very mature. You're growing up. It's great to see.
Man of my word.
And thank you for your apology. On behalf of the University of Arizona Coyotes, we accept your apology. Andre, what do you see here, man?
I want to pick Arizona so bad. I think they're gonna win, and I would want them to win. But I feel like Vegas is never wrong about the Panthers for some reason. I feel like they just always know when the Panthers are gonna win, when the Panthers are gonna lose. Just the money line never lies for them. That's how I see it. So I'm gonna stay away from a side. I think it's gonna be a tight game. I wouldn't touch the Panthers puck line. Yotes puck line doesn't have enough value for me. I think 60-minute line's a little too risky for Florida. Me trusting Vegas more than any numbers or gut feelings or eye test in the world. So I like the under the most in this play. Two strong goaltending teams, obviously. Florida has a really good PK. Arizona's a solid, neither power play. Well, I guess Arizona has a good power play, but Florida's power play isn't anything crazy. Neither team is scoring anything crazy. I just think it's going to be a nice, hard-fought, low-scoring hockey game that ends with a 1-goal difference either way. And I want it to be Arizona, but Vegas knows the Panthers.
Yeah. I also just want to add as well. Keller and Kruse or Kraus. I gotta pay attention to how that name's pronounced because I freaking butcher it like every week. These two guys score goals. Like Keller scored 13 goals this year, 3 in the last 5 games. He's plus 195. And Kruse, I got to figure it out tonight. 16 goals on the year, 3 in his last 5 as well. Every game, one of these two guys will score. So it's a 50-50 shot. Sometimes they both score, and it's wow, beautiful. But these two guys, man, they're making me money on the shot totals, goals. I'll tell you what, in September preseason, if you told me that Keller and Krause would be making me money with only Crosby making me more money, I wouldn't even. I mean, I knew Keller, but who? Krause? Who's that? But this guy's playing really well this year, and I like those props tonight. All right, moving on to the team that they came back and beat just last week. The Islanders are in Colorado. Colorado's minus 185 favorites. Islanders plus 154. I know that the Islanders are a team that we don't fully understand or know what they are. I still thought minus 185 was a little bit much, but that's what Vegas has them at. Minus 1.5 for Colorado is plus 136. Plus 1.5 for the Islanders is minus 162. The over is 6 at minus 125. The under is plus 105. Andre, what do you see here tonight with this game?
I see an Islanders team that isn't as good on the road and is slowly coming crashing down to earth. Gravity's catching up. They love going to overtime and losing. So I know this is a tough call, but Colorado's a way better team. And I think I would say in every way, Colorado's a better team, along with being home. I don't see this one being close, even though the Islanders do love a good overtime loss. I think the Avalanche win this one by multiple goals. They have too much for them. The Islanders PK is going to get abused and embarrassed by Makar and McKinnon. It's just going to make a huge difference in this one. And I just really see Colorado scoring a lot. The over is only at 6 right now, and I love that. So I would take the over for sure. I think Colorado alone is going to score like 4 or 5 goals.
It's hard to disagree. And specifically talking about the Islanders here, and from November 30th to December the 13th, they were 6-1. Remember how they started the year? And all of a sudden they came on hot 6-1, and we're like, oh, the Islanders are like second place in the Metro. Like, what is happening? Well, you're absolutely right. They're coming back down to earth since they were 6-1 through that 2-week stretch. They are now 3-5 in their last 8 games. Colorado 4-1 in their last 5. That one being against the Coyotes, John, just to remind you. In December, 15 games, 8-7 for Colorado. They are 23-11-3. 7 of those losses came last month. And I think that they're out to prove who they are, to prove that they're for real. I think they had a really tough month last month, and I think the Islanders are coming to Colorado in a bad spot. And I 100% agree with you. I like the puck line here. You can give me like minus 5.5, and I might even put a little sprinkle on it. I think Colorado destroys them tonight. However, I will say on the Islanders side, Barzal and Dobson both with 13 power play points. That prop has hit for me quite a few times this year. I know that the PK for Colorado is 7th, but the Islanders PK or power play rather is actually decent. Not as bad as you would think, but you're right. Power play point props for Colorado I mean, pick one. Like the Islanders PK is so bad. Like, who do you want? Like McKinnon, Rantanen, like it doesn't matter. Makar. Also, McKinnon, 5 goals and 5 assists in his last 5 games. 6 power play points in his last 5 games as well. Like I just mentioned, and Rantanen has 4 goals in his last 5 games. So, and I'm pretty sure, let me double check this here. I'm pretty sure that McKinnon to score, minus 120, and Rantanen to score is minus 115. So the books are like, yeah, these guys will score. We're not going to give you too much, too much in the way of odds on that one. John, where do you see this game?
The penalty kill for the Islanders is a bit of a concern for me here because that's really the main area. I think Colorado has a huge advantage. They're like 10 percentage points better than the Islanders when it comes to penalty kill. With that said, I don't really trust Colorado on the puck line. They've been in a lot of close games of late. I mean, yeah, they won by 2 against the Sharks on New Year's Eve, but they were in a 1-goal game before that. And, of course, the 1-goal game against the Coyotes before that, where they blew it. I don't think the Islanders are playing badly enough for me to fade them here. So I think for me, this would either be a stay-away game or pick the Islanders if you're really feeling them. I do think there's a little bit of value there. Like I said, the penalty kill is making me a little hesitant to jump on this completely, but I don't think Colorado's proven to me recently that they're a lock it in, no doubt about it puck line bet, and the money line's way too high for me to pick that. So I'm like torn to either stay away from this entirely or pick the Islanders money line. But I think I'm going to lean Islanders just because I think there's a little more value there.
That's interesting.
I don't think they're a bad enough team for me to completely fade them.
Yeah. I do think Colorado, like both these teams want to prove that they're for real. And I think Colorado just has way more talent, but I do see where you're coming from. Super rebellious, this guy, Andre?
They can't kill too many power plays in this game. Otherwise,
you're 100% right.
But like if they stay disciplined, I could see them pulling out a win.
All right, moving on to a visiting team that is very disciplined, wrapping up their West Coast road trip. I believe they're wrapping it up tonight. I believe this is the last game. They've been on the road for 5 games. This is the 5th game, I believe. Philadelphia is in Edmonton. Edmonton is minus 185 favorites. Flyers are plus 154. Minus 1.5 on the puck line is plus 136 for Edmonton, while plus 1.5 is minus 162 for the Flyers. The over is 6.5 at minus 115, and the under is minus 105. So Flyers, from December the 2nd until December the 19th, they were 7-1. Since then, they are 1-4. We've talked about the Flyers on this show many times. I believe in them. I think they're for real. Those 4 losses, comeback loss. Remember, they're losing to Detroit 6-0. Came back, tied it up, lost in overtime. They beat Vancouver in a very, very gutsy win. Then close losses to Seattle and Calgary at the end of this road trip, the last 2 games. And both those teams have been coming on, especially Seattle, since towards the end of 2023. So, yeah, they're 1-4, but not like they're getting their doors blown off 1-4. Like they could have won all of those games. They haven't been home since Christmas, which you may think that I'm saying all of this to hype up the Oilers maybe, and I'm not. I think the Flyers win this game. I think that the way Torts has this team playing and the way that they haven't been able to get the job done over the last few games. That game against Vancouver was like for real. And like they've been playing well. They just haven't been catching breaks. I think they had a nice few days off. They went to Edmonton. Not much to do in Edmonton, so they got lots of rest because nothing to do. So besides the mall, it's like the biggest mall in Canada or something. I don't know how much those guys care about that. So there's like a roller coaster in the mall. It's pretty crazy actually, but I'm like trying to talk like smack about it. And it's actually pretty wild. But I digress. I think Philadelphia wins this game. The Edmonton Oilers won 8 in a row. Then they lost 3. Since the 3-game losing streak, they have now won 5 in a row again. Scored less than 4 goals once, more than 4 3 times over that 5-game winning streak. I do like the over here, but I think Philadelphia can keep up, and I think Philadelphia wins this game. I just feel like the way Torts has them playing, I think that they're not happy with how this road trip has gone, and I think they close it out with a win tonight. Tip it, sneaky overs when it comes to the shots. He's got 125, and Draisaitl, we've been wondering where he's been for a lot of the year. He has 4 goals in the last 5 games. He's plus 110. So I like those 2 props, and I like the Flyers money line. John, what about you, man?
Mark, I think I'm coming home on this one. I also really like Philadelphia tonight.
I'm so proud of you. I mean, we'll see. I could just get my doors blown off tonight. We'll see what happens.
I don't know if this makes you feel better or worse, but I truly believe Philadelphia is the most valuable money line on the board tonight.
Interesting. Wow. Interesting.
The reason why is I'm kind of with you where I see this very similarly as the Vancouver game. And like, I think Edmonton's a good team. I feel like they're going to be in the mix to make the playoffs till the very end, at the very least. But I don't really like this spot for them. I tend to believe Vegas has overinflated Edmonton when it comes to money lines a lot this year. And given the way Philadelphia is playing of late, I feel like this is just another example of it. And people get a little infatuated with the star power Edmonton has and the goals they can produce. Because I'll admit, they do good in goals per game, very good power play. But I think Philadelphia is like, I don't know how to say it. It's like a less sexy team to watch, so people forget about them a little bit.
Sure.
But they grind and they're tough, which I don't think is good for a team like Edmonton to face. Philadelphia, despite not having the goals that Edmonton has, they have the penalty kill to neutralize Edmonton's power play. Like, Edmonton is a good power play, 7th best in the league. Philadelphia has the 4th best penalty kill. And in goals per game, Philadelphia gives up half a goal per game less than Edmonton does. And I do think that's going to make a difference here. I think they're a pretty valuable underdog. It's a little bit insulting to Philadelphia, but I think it's more overinflating Edmonton here. Give me the Flyers outright tonight.
I love that you said that they don't play sexy, so people forget about them. Guys, at least here, I don't know about down there, but in previous Torts teams, I'm seeing him on SportsCenter or Sportsnet Central or whatever, every night saying something outrageous. And I feel like we all just forget that he's in the league still. I'm not seeing him on TV. I'm not seeing him call a reporter stupid. I'm not seeing him picking fights with the I'm not seeing him do anything. And I do think Torts is coaching. I forgot that. I haven't heard from him lately. But I think you're 100% right, John. 100%. You cherish this moment. I think you're 100% right. You hold on to it near and dear.
There we go.
Andre, what do you see here, man? Do you agree?
Well, I miss Torts. I love Torts. I could talk about Torts for a long time.
Yeah,
and I like talking about how good. I like talking about how good this Flyers team is on the road. That being said, I think you're both wrong. I think Edmonton is going to win this game. I think they're going to win by multiple goals. I know the Flyers are tough, but Edmonton's a better team at home. They have been all season. Their 5-game winning streak, they beat the Devils. It's a good team. They beat the Rangers. It's a really good team. Beat the brakes off the Sharks. Beat the Kings, another really good team. Beat the brakes off the Ducks, all on the road. How could you just not be impressed with that? Uh, the only they didn't beat the Kings and the Rangers by multiple goals on the road. Is that like you can't hold that against them really? You can say their PK is weak, their goaltending is weak. The Flyers don't really score. They average fewer than 3 goals per game. They have the worst power play in the league. Flyers have the 7th most penalty minutes in the NHL this season. I know their PK is 4th, but you give McDavid and Draisaitl power play opportunities, they're going to light the lamp.
Can't argue.
It's a completely different team you're facing when Edmonton's power play is on the ice. Like McDavid and Draisaitl are on a different level. I know their numbers aren't top, but watching them move when they're on, it's damn near unstoppable. So the Flyers keep committing penalties, keep putting themselves on the PK. It's going to cost them. I think Edmonton back home finally, riding high, take this one home very easily.
I definitely can't argue with the points favoring the Oilers. I think for me, the Oilers like 8-game winning streak, then they lose 3, and then they win 5. Like they just inevitably after winning streaks, they don't just lose 1 or 2. Like they seem to go on and I just really, really trust what the Flyers have been doing. It's gonna be a good game. I don't think it's going to be lopsided whichever way it turns. And I think, plus 1.5 being minus 162 usually is actually like minus 170 or 80 or minus 190 or whatever. I think like minus 162 is them like Vegas showing a little bit like, hey, we do think this game's going to be a little closer than the other plus 1.5. Or I guess the other way around. But I think this game will be close either way. All right, moving on to 2. I mean, there's only 7 teams up here in Canada, but 2 of the most captivating teams in Canada that are at opposite ends of the captivating spectrum. You have Ottawa in Vancouver. Vancouver is minus 148. And I'm surprised that this line hasn't moved in the last couple hours. I expected Vancouver to be bigger favorites than this by now. There's still time, of course. Plus 124 is Ottawa. Plus 1.5 for the Senators is minus 185. Minus 1.5 for the Canucks is plus 154. The over is 6.5 at minus 130, and the under is plus 110. Andre, what do you see in this game?
Yeah, this line has made me Google Thatcher Demko 3 times today to see if he was hurt or something. I really don't. I know Ottawa's won 3 of 4, I guess. The offense is playing well. They had 5 goals in 2 of those games, 4 in another. But the Canucks, like the way they've been playing, really, like I feel like they should be favored by more than this. I know they haven't played since the 28th when they lost to the Flyers. That's a nice little break. I just at home before a road trip that's taking them through the East Coast. They're 13-4-1 on home ice. I think they leave British Columbia on a high note. I think they win this game by multiple goals. I think I like the over because I can see Ottawa scoring some themselves. I can see this one being like a 5-3 type of game, but I think Vancouver is going to win by multiple goals, and I'm shocked that they're not favored by more.
100%. John, what do you think?
I think with Ottawa, I'm at the point in the year where like your record might be who you are at this point. I know,
right?
I know at least up in Canada there were higher hopes for the Senators, but maybe this is just still like fresh in my head. The one game they lost in that stretch, the last 4 games, they lost that game bad to my Devils. And I feel like the Devils really exposed what Ottawa is against the top tier teams, or better teams at least. Not saying my team's top tier by any means. Uh, my point being is that I don't think this team is very good. They they're a little bit, I don't know. Ottawa just seems a little soft. Like they can get a little rattled very easily. So I don't really like them in this spot going up against what I believe is a very complete team with Vancouver. I do agree with you. This line is a little lower than I would have expected, especially because I think Vancouver has much better goaltending than Ottawa. I know Ottawa can put up some goals themselves, but I think until Vancouver proves otherwise, I'm taking the puck line here.
Yeah, that's a clean sweep. I think puck line. I think, Ottawa, like they're feisty and they'll pick fights with you, but I think Vancouver, like they're no nonsense, man. Like they're weirdly tough. Like you wouldn't think of Vancouver that way. I think Andre, you pointed this out. Like their last game was last week when they lost to Philadelphia in a game where their heads fell off for like 3 minutes and Philadelphia scored 3 goals. I think they've been sitting in Vancouver just waiting, and I think they're ready to pounce. I think Ottawa, I like what I've been seeing from them on this like little run that they closed off the year. They played Toronto last week. And Toronto's big thing with that is that Toronto has like nobody to punch back. When Ottawa punches them in the mouth, the Leafs don't have anyone to counter that punch. And like Vancouver just plays so tight defensively, so well defensively. I think you're absolutely right, John. If Ottawa gets rattled at all in this game, the wheels are going to fall off. It could be 5-3. It could also be like 6-1. Like this game could get super messy for Ottawa. One stat that I saw that shocked me, and this is my biggest reason for taking -1.5. Everything I told you, John told you, Andre told you, it's all true. This one stat kind of blew me away. Ottawa has lost 18 games this year. Okay. 18 games, 14 and 18. No overtime losses. 13 of those 18 games, they've lost by 2 or more goals. 13 of them. That's a lot. I saw that and I was like, wow. Like they don't just lose, like they lose. And I think Vancouver wins. Like we talked about, I mean, last month Vancouver 8-4. Last month in December, tough Philly loss, and I think they come back with a vengeance tonight. Moving on, my team is in Los Angeles. Oh boy. Los Angeles -130. Toronto +110. Over 6.5 is -118. The under is a -102. Toronto +1.5 is -218. LA Kings -1.5 is +180. So Samsonov sent down to the minors. What did I tell you guys last week? This guy's a problem, and he proved to be a problem again on Friday night. And was it Friday? Yeah, Friday against Columbus. He's down to the minors. Martin Jones is in net. Now, Martin Jones, when we signed him in the summer, we're like, really, this is your backup plan, Martin Jones? 915 save percentage this year, 2.73 goals against average. The guy's played really well. Most games that I've seen him play, he gets some bad breaks, and the opponent scores some good goals. I think Martin Jones has played really well. Kings are on a 2-game losing streak. Leafs are 3-7 out of nowhere in their last 10 games. So I like the under here. This is my favorite play. I don't like the Leafs money line. I can't side with my boys. If you take Kings, I can't argue you. although I will say that the Kings have notoriously been better on the road than at home, and the Leafs, they can put up some good games when they know their goaltender can make a save. When they know their goaltender can't make a save, the wheels fall off of everything. What I will say here for the under, what did I say it was? 6.5 minus 102. The Kings have 2 overs since November. They've hit 2 over 6.5 overs since November. They've played 33 games this year, the Los Angeles Kings have. They've hit the over 6.5 11 times out of 33 games. The Kings play unders always. And I think it's no difference here. I know the Leafs can score a lot of goals. I know they can, but the Kings goaltending is really good. Talbot's been good this year. I believe he's playing tonight. And I hope he plays well because I have him on my fantasy team, which is weird. Like emotionally, it's weird. Like the Leafs score and I'm happy.
What's are always conflicting.
Yeah, like the Leafs like score, I'm happy, but I also paid $100 to be in this fantasy league and I want to win. So like, yeah, you know, which one do I side on? But I really like the under here. I think either team could win this game, but I think the under is a borderline lock. Just to throw it out there, Matthews has 29 goals. And I believe I saw earlier that he's plus money still. He's plus 100, where Pasternak has 22 goals, I believe, and he's like minus 140 or something. So Austin Matthews leads the league in scoring, and he's still plus money when we're seeing McKinnon and Rantanen, Pasta. Those guys are all minus money, but the league's goal leader is still plus. So take it is what I'm trying to say. Andre, what do you see here, bro?
This game is just a complete philosophical clash almost. Strong defense and goaltending for a Kings team that plays worse at home. Strong offense, power play, puck movement for a Leafs team that plays better on the road. It's a weird, tug of war, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's going to end with the Toronto win, actually. I think the Leafs are going to win. I think it's going to be a 4-3, possibly OT game. I'm not enamored with what the Kings do at home at all, especially offensively. The power play's down to 13.1% at home. Save percentage dips below 90%. It's weird, but they don't really play that well at home. They just lost to the Oilers at home. Meanwhile, I feel like the Leafs, when they have tough games on the road against teams, like when they came to the Garden and played the Rangers, 7-3. It's a very impressive win. You know, they share a division with Boston, so they go there. I think that was a 2-3 loss really early in the season. I feel like they just play these good teams well, and I feel like they play better on the road, and I feel like those are going to all come together, and they're going to walk away with a dub in this one. They're going to start their California trip the right way. So I like the Toronto plus 110. I like the over, just because I know Martin Jones is better than Samsonov almost by default, but still not enamored with Toronto's defensive and goaltending situation. I think the Kings can get 3 across. But that's where I'm at with this game.
Well, I love your confidence. You might sway me to put a little 9:59, 10 o'clock parlay together. We'll see what happens. John, what do you see here, bro?
I do think for me as an outside observer, this Samsonov thing is like a big part of how I'm looking at Toronto right now.
It's huge that he's gone.
This is what I wanted to ask you before I lock my pick in. You're representing Toronto faithful on this show. Would you say Toronto faithful feels like a breath of fresh air not having Samsonov around now?
Yes and no. I think you should have seen Twitter on Friday night, bro. like going into the third period, everyone was like pull him, and they didn't. And everyone's like, fire Keith. Like, why is he still in the net? Like, fire. So it went from pull Samsonov, and then he didn't get pulled, to fire Keith because Samsonov should not be in the net. That was literally the battle cry of Toronto Maple Leaf fans on Twitter on Friday night. What I will say is that there is relief that he's not there. However, we do not have goaltending depth. So, like, Joseph Wall is our best goaltender, and he's hurt for at least another, I think, 3 weeks. I could have that wrong, but I believe it's like 3 weeks. So we're like leaning on Martin Jones, who has played well, but he is past his prime. There's no denying that. And Hiddleby or like Hiddleby, I can't even remember how to pronounce his name, who just got pulled up from the Marlies. God bless him. But like Jones and Hiddleby, like it's concerning. The 2/3 of our salary cap hooked up in 5 players, and we're relying on Jones and Hiddleby. And again, that's not how you pronounce his name. I can't remember how to pronounce it, but it's a relief, but it's also like, what is going on between the net? So that's to answer your question. It's a bit of both.
I can understand that. The reason I ask is it does feel like our teams have parallel situations where we feel like we're not worried about our offense, but worried more about our goaltending. And I bring that up for me because the way I look at Toronto as an outside observer, I do believe they have the firepower to carry average goaltending. My feeling with the Samsonov thing is it felt like you were getting way below average goaltending, which was the problem.
Big time.
So my belief is Jones doesn't have to be an elite shutdown goaltender. He just needs to. This is just me talking here. My feeling is your offense can carry the load if he just has an average performance.
I agree.
If he's average until you get your goal depth back a little bit or regroup. With that said, I feel like the players can play a little looser now that they know they have at least somewhat of a competent goaltender behind them to kind of back them up, which I think is huge going into a game like this against a top-tier team like the Kings. I think, given what Andre said, I'm going to stay away from the total on this, but I just mentally like what this move feels like for Toronto, especially because Jones didn't seem like he played bad in his first start on Saturday against Carolina, I believe. So I'm going to lean toward – I like Toronto money line here tonight. I really do.
Oh, you guys are going to freaking end up making me do this. You're going to suck me into it. No, you're not. Oh, man, trust me. Like this team, and they're beginning to get defensemen back. Giordano came back Friday night. I 100% like Friday night, dude, was wild. Like when the Leafs lose in the playoffs, my night's ruined. Like I'm in a bad mood for the rest of the night. During the regular season, it's just kind of like, I was legit like so angry Friday night at what I was watching. When you go up 5-3 against Columbus, you should be able to close that game out in the third period. I sent you guys the screenshot. It was 5-4 Toronto. Shots were 29-11. 29-11, and we were winning 5-4. That's craziness, and that can't happen in the National Hockey League. Moving on to the last game of the night. We'll keep this short and sweet. We've been rolling today. Lots to get to. Detroit is in San Jose. Detroit is minus 192. Favorites on the road. Sharks are plus 160. Detroit minus 1.5 is plus 124. Sharks are plus 1.5. The over is 6.5 at minus 125, and the under is plus 1.5. I think this is the perfect game for Detroit. I think San Jose has been slowly getting back to what they were at the beginning of the season. Can I see San Jose winning this game? 100% I can. But Detroit needs this game. If they have any hopes of, proving to the league that they belong in the playoffs, which I strongly did a couple months ago, and now I have some serious doubts, they have to win this game. Like, it's super simple. I really do think that they have to win this game. They're 5-10 in December. I'm gonna pick Detroit minus 1.5 here. I think Lions has had a rough start coming back to the lineup. I think he gets right tonight. I know it's the Shark Tank. I know that I know that the Red Wings haven't been great. But I'm just going to trust that this team is going to stand up. They're starting the new year against the worst team in the National Hockey League. Prove to us that you are a good team. Prove it and beat the Sharks in San Jose. Kane, now let me just say this. I'm not betting my own money on this. I do think I want to trust that Detroit will win this game minus 1.5. I really do. But I'm probably going to take my Detroit minus 1.5 money and bet it on the Leafs because you guys manipulated me just now. Kane, 4 goals in his last 5. DeBrincat, 2 goals and 10 points in his last 5. So I like both of those two guys to score a goal tonight. John, what do you see here?
I hate that we have to close out on opposite sides, but I'm feeling a Shark Tank win here. I'm on the baby Sharks. Baby Sharks. I like this matchup for the Sharks. I know they don't score. There's a big difference in goals per game between these two teams. But why I like the Sharks is because when the Sharks do typically win this season, it's at home. They have twice the amount of home wins than they do on the road. Plus, Detroit, as much as they can score, they're not that good at stopping pucks from going in the net. Like, I realize the Sharks are bad too in this category, dead last in the league, but Detroit's really not much better. They're in the bottom 6 in the league. I think this is the perfect type of opponent for the Sharks to beat, a team that's kind of weak defensively and goaltending wise. I think it creates a bit of an opening for the Sharks, especially in the Shark Tank. I feel like Detroit needs to go through like a coming of age moment where they say, we're letting this season slip away if we don't step it up. And honestly, I'm not sure if they've had it yet. I feel like they need to kind of go through what the Oilers did in the Shark Tank, where they have their rock bottom moment of like,
the Shark Tank's where just hate yourself.
Exactly, man. Maybe it's a stupid reason to pick the Sharks, but I don't know, man. I'm just really feeling it tonight. And I think after this game tonight, if Detroit loses, that's when we find out who they are.
Andre, what about you, bro? What do you see here?
It's amazing how me and John are always on the same page about this Sharks team because he said so many things that I wanted to say. And this is not rehearsed. We haven't talked about this. It's just number. And proceeded to beat 6-5 in overtime. They scored 4 straight goals in the second period to knot it up. Went down 5-4 in the third, tied it up 5-5, won in OT. You give a team like San Jose confidence and hope, you let them see the back of the net a few times, they're going to make you pay for it, even though they're not a good team. And Detroit has glaring issues defensively and in net. I think the Sharks, they're going to get 3, 4, 5, whatever goals, And you can't play like that in San Jose, even against a team that's not good. So I also think the Sharks are going to win this game.
Boom.
Super interesting. Yeah. No, and I can't like argue it. I've believed in this Detroit team the whole way long. And like you said, John, this is it, man. Like, prove it to me, man. It's 2024. Your sins of last year are forgiven. You have a clean slate. Prove to me that I'm not an idiot. Let's go. All right, moving on to wrap up the show with our best bets brought to you by First Round Collectibles. Until Thursday, get up to 50% off of thousands of sports cards, an additional 10% with the code Sports Addict. That's an additional 10%. Sports Addict is the code, up to 50% off on sports cards, thousands of sports cards on firstroundcollectible.com, the number one, STRoundcollectibles.com. Andre, why don't we start with you? You've disagreed with me the least today, so you get to go first. You get to go first.
Wow,
What
what
do
a
you got?
privilege.
What do you got for your best bet, bro?
I'm going to go with the old guys in Pittsburgh. I'm going
Ooh,
to take them -1.5 as my lock of the day. They've already shut out the Capitals once this season. The Capitals offense is god awful, second fewest goals per game in the NHL. So the worst offense in the non-San Jose division of professional hockey. They're not as good on the road. The Penguins are better on the road. They have a 4-game losing streak. The Penguins have a 3-game winning streak. I just think the way each team is trending, I think the way they match up, because Tristan Jarry is a very good goaltender. The Penguins have very strong PK and defense. I think it's a nightmare going up to Pittsburgh tonight for the Capitals. I think they might score 1 goal if they're lucky, and that's not going to keep this within a single goal when the final whistle blows. So Penguins -1.5. Love that puck line.
I love that pick. I'm right there with you. John, what do you got, man?
There's a few interesting options on the board today, given how many games there are. I had it narrowed down to 2 or 3 options, but I think I'm going to go a little bold here. I said when we talked about this game earlier, I thought it was the most valuable money line bet on the board. So I think in terms of a bet for value, I'm going to go with the Philadelphia Flyers.
Hey,
I really do like that matchup against Edmonton tonight. Like I said before, Philadelphia, they may not score as many goals per game as Edmonton, but I really think their penalty kill can neutralize Edmonton's power play. Flyers have much better goaltending this season than Edmonton. I really see them winning out right there. And the money line is very valuable at +150.
there are a lot of good late games on tonight. Like between the Oilers and the Flyers, Ottawa, Vancouver, Toronto, Winnipeg, Tampa. Like there's some good games on tonight. So my best bet, and I know that I started off, we were talking about Detroit or Montreal and Dallas. And I started off saying that I really wanted to take Montreal +1.5. I thought the value was really good. And I thought that, Montreal has basically been having a like dignified tank where they've been in like all these games. They've been playing well, not well enough to win, but they've been keeping games close. However, I also said that at the end of the day, whether it's the empty netter or Dallas is winning, 4-3 third period, I really think Dallas wins by 2 goals, -1.5. I think it will be exactly 2 goals. If there is I'm sure that you can find a bet of exactly 2 goals. I'm not gonna. We'll just stick to the -1.5. We won't go crazy, but I really do think it's going to be 4-3 third period and the empty net. I feel like it's going to be exactly that. I also found a stat that I forgot to read earlier. The Dallas Stars have only won 2 games scoring less than 3 goals. Less than 4 goals, they have only won 5 times, and they've won 22 games. So 22 games scoring less than 3 goals twice. This team, when they win, they score a lot of goals. And I like -1.5 for Dallas tonight.
You looking for it?
I'm looking for it. I'm waiting.
Penguins -1.5, Flyers money line, Stars -1.5. We have a plus 1049 for our first parlay of 2024.
Do you know what I love about this parlay? John is on Washington, and Andre is on the Oilers. And Andre picked the Pens, and you picked Philadelphia. I love it. And I just get my hands out of it.
I wasn't sit back and relax.
I wasn't involved in beef this time. I can just keep my distance. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. Keep an eye out. We will tweet out or X out. I'm not even trying Twitter. It's like tweet. I'm not getting involved in drama. I'm gonna tweet it out. It's fine. The best bets for the night. Thank you everybody so much for joining us. Happy New Year. Welcome back. We're back. Join us tomorrow. There's only 2 games to break down tomorrow. However, we will be going through our predictions for the rest of the 2023-2024 regular season. Make sure to go to firstroundspectacle.com. Take advantage of the 50% off sports cards for Thursday. Thank you so much. We will see you tomorrow.
Go hard.